The greatest football rivalry in history wasn't decided by a Ballon d'Or, a Champions League, or even 20 years of goals. It may have been decided by one World Cup that changed everything. Both Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo arrived at the 2026 World Cup as the first players in history to play in 6 World Cups. Both knew it was almost certainly their last chance on football's biggest stage. But while Ronaldo's dream ended in tears after Portugal's heartbreaking defeat to Spain, Messi is still rewriting football history at 39 years old. 8 goals, 21 World Cup goals, the Golden Boot race, another unforgettable knockout comeback after Argentina recovered from 2-0 down against Egypt. Somehow, this version of Messi looks even more decisive than the one that lifted the World Cup in Qatar. Meanwhile, Ronaldo leaves with 27 World Cup appearances, 11 goals, and the historic achievement of becoming the first player ever to score in 6 different World Cups, but without the one trophy he spent 20 years chasing. So how did two legends who began this tournament side by side end up with 2 completely different endings? This is why the 2026 World Cup may have permanently changed football's greatest rivalry forever.
Ronaldo and Messi didn't just show up to this World Cup for one more run. They showed up carrying the last chapter of the biggest rivalry the sport has ever produced. For the better part of 20 years, these two bent football around themselves. Ballon d'Ors, Champions League nights, goal tallies that stopped making sense, arguments that split entire pub tables. But the World Cup was always the exception. Club form couldn't save you here. Reputation meant nothing. One bad night and it's over. That's why 2026 felt heavier than any World Cup before it. Both men became the first to play at 6 World Cups, 20 years on from their debuts in 2006. Ronaldo walked in at 41, Messi at 39. Neither is the kid who used to torch fullbacks for fun. Their games have changed, their bodies have changed, the teams around them have changed, but emotionally, they weren't carrying the same weight at all. Messi arrived as the reigning champion. He'd already done the one thing that used to follow him everywhere. That doesn't erase pressure, it just changes its shape. For Messi, 2026 was about adding to the legend. For Ronaldo, it was about finally catching the one thing that had always slipped away from him. Which is exactly why Portugal's run mattered so much. Ronaldo's got the Euros, he's got the Nations League, he's the all-time leading scorer in men's international football. The World Cup was the one gap in the resume, and at 41, there's no next tournament waiting to fix it. Portugal opened with a warning shot, a 1-1 draw against DR Congo in Houston. João Neves put them ahead early, Ioane Wissa pulled it back before half-time, and Ronaldo went the whole match without a goal against a DR Congo side that defended like they had something to prove, not the start anyone wanted. Then the response, a 5-0 demolition of Uzbekistan, Ronaldo grabbing a brace. That brace made him the first player ever to score in 6 different World Cups. For a moment, it felt like the old routine kicking back in. Questions, then goals, rinse and repeat. Against Croatia in the round of 16, he scored again, this time from the spot after a VAR check. First knockout stage goal of his World Cup career. Worth noting because for a guy with this many records, dominating in knockout football was never really part of his World Cup story. Portugal won 2-1. The dream stayed alive. Then Spain ended it. Round of 16, Arlington. Portugal lost 1-0. Mikel Merino came off the bench and buried it in the first minute of stoppage time. Spain through to the quarters. Ronaldo's last World Cup. Over. Tactically, it wasn't complicated. Portugal had the creators, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Vitinha, João Neves, Nuno Mendes, but Spain controlled the rhythm of the game better than Portugal controlled anything. Spain defended patiently, kept their central zones tight, and made Portugal work for moments instead of letting them build sustained pressure. Ronaldo still had that penalty box menace, but he couldn't stretch Spain's backline the way he used to, couldn't consistently pull himself free of a marker. Portugal needed the ball delivered into very specific pockets. Spain made sure those pockets never opened. And Unai Simon didn't need a highlight reel save to win this. He just needed to stay solid, own his box, and make every Portuguese chance feel like it had to be perfect. That's how knockout football strangles teams, not with fireworks, with patience. Portugal weren't blown away, they were slowly squeezed until one late move from the bench settled it. When Marino's shot went in, the story was written. Ronaldo's World Cup career closes at 6 tournaments, 27 appearances, 11 goals. First man to score in 6 different editions, but he never once reached a final. His best finish is still the 2006 semi-final, the tournament where all of this started. He's confirmed this was his last World Cup, though he's left the door open on whether he's done with Portugal entirely. That distinction matters. This wasn't necessarily his last game in the shirt, but it was his last World Cup, and that alone is enough to make it feel enormous. Roberto Martinez also left his post after the exit, closing out a Portugal side that had more than enough talent to go further, but never quite turned all that possession and quality into control when it mattered. So I look at Ronaldo's 2026 with respect, not pity. 3 goals at 41 in a World Cup isn't failure by any normal measure, but nothing about his career was ever judged by normal standards. 20 years chasing the one trophy that would have completed everything, and in the end, it's the one mountain he never got to the top of. Which is what makes this whole rivalry so dramatic right now, because while Ronaldo's story just ended in tears, Messi's is still being written. Nobody saw the two of them splitting apart like this. 20 years of this rivalry, and one half of it just walked off the pitch for the last time.
Messi's 2026 World Cup isn't supposed to look like this. Not because Argentina aren't good, they're still champions. I mean, a 39-year-old in his 6th World Cup shouldn't be the tournament's most dangerous storyline. This was meant to be the victory lap. Instead, it's become one of the most dramatic runs of his career. And Argentina haven't even looked comfortable getting there. That's the difference from 2022. Back then, they found their rhythm after the Saudi Arabia shock and calmed down as the tournament went on. This time, it's been rougher. Late goals, extra time, one scare after another. Every time, Messi's the one dragging them back. It started against Algeria, a hat-trick in a 3-0 win, his 200th cap, and the moment he became the first men's player to reach 6 World Cups, level with Miroslav Klose's World Cup scoring record at the time, and the oldest player ever to score a World Cup hat-trick. Not a mascot, decisive. Then Austria, 2-0, and the picture got clearer. This team isn't carrying Messi out of sentiment, it's still built around his timing and angles. He's the centre of gravity. Midfielders orbit him, runners adjust to his pace, and defenders who hesitate for half a second get punished for it. That's the real evolution. Young Messi destroyed you with speed. 2022 Messi controlled you with timing. This Messi decides unstable matches. Not dominant for 90 minutes, just the 5 that matter. Cape Verde nearly proved that wrong. Argentina needed extra time and a Dini Borges own goal to escape 3-2. Messi scored the opener, Cape Verde equalised twice, and keeper Vozinha made several saves, including one off Messi from point-blank range. No sitting deep and hoping. Cape Verde matched their intensity and made the champions sweat. Then Egypt, and that's the game that changed the story. 2-0 down with 11 minutes left. Messi had already missed a first-half penalty, his second of the tournament. Egypt had exactly the game they wanted. Yasser Ibrahim and Mustafa Zico doing the damage. Keeper Mustafa Shobir having the kind of night that gives favourites nightmares. A missed penalty at 39, possibly his last World Cup. Team on the brink, that breaks most players. Messi didn't blink. Assist for Cristian Romero's 79th header, the equaliser himself in the 83rd.
third. Then Enzo Fernandez finished the comeback in stoppage time. 3-2, quarter-finals. That's not form, that's control under pressure. By full time, 8 goals this tournament, 21 for his career, Golden Boot lead, still adding to a record that's already his alone. Earlier in the tournament, he'd become the first player to score in 7 straight World Cup matches, a streak running back to Qatar and past the old marks held by Just Fontaine and Jairzinho. He's not better physically than 2022. He isn't pressing like a young forward or carrying the ball box to box anymore, but he might be more ruthless with his choices than ever, knowing exactly when to save his legs, when to appear between the lines, when to release early, when to stop creating and just finish it himself. Which brings us back to the rivalry, because this tournament rewrote it again. Ronaldo's World Cup story is closed. 6 tournaments, 27 caps, 11 goals, one untouchable record, first man to score in 6 editions. Messi's is still open, 6 tournaments, 30 caps, 21 goals, a title in 2022, a final in 2014, 2 golden balls, and right now, mid-tournament, he's leading the Golden Boot with his team still alive. That's where this stops being opinion and starts being arithmetic. Ronaldo adapted to age by shrinking into the box, positioning, timing, aerial threat, finishing, needed service delivered into specific pockets, and when Spain shut those down, so did his tournament. Messi adapted differently. Argentina don't just find him at the end of a move, he shapes it from the start. Passer, creator, dead ball threat, finisher, emotional reset button, all in the same 90 minutes. Age changed how he moves. It hasn't touched how much he matters. That's the brutal difference between the World Cup and club football. Club football gives you time to fix a bad month. The World Cup gives you none. One miss, one late goal, one bad night, and years of work vanish. That's what happened to Ronaldo. Spain, 1-0, Marino in the 91st, over. One day later, Messi stared down the same cliff, 2-0 to Egypt, penalty missed, title defense on the line. For him, it didn't become the ending, just another chapter. That's the gap this tournament opened. Ronaldo leaves with a legendary career and one permanently empty shelf. Messi's already a champion, and at 39, he's still stacking records on top of the one trophy Ronaldo spent 20 years chasing. So when people say Messi's become exactly what Ronaldo feared, I don't hear an insult. I hear history speaking plainly. Ronaldo was afraid of being left behind in the one competition that defines football immortality. In 2026, that gap hasn't closed, it's widened. Messi isn't just playing well, he's carrying matches, he's deciding knockout games, and Argentina is still alive, so this story isn't finished yet.
Messi has become exactly what Ronaldo always feared. Not Messi the man, no one's afraid of a guy who still can't put a header away to save his life. What Ronaldo feared was history moving on without him, and that's precisely what just happened. 20 years, 6 World Cups, and Ronaldo never once got near a final. He's got the individual honours, the domestic trophies, the goal record that may never be touched, but football's only kept one door locked for him, and he spent 2 decades trying every key he had. Messi already walked through that door in 2022. What he's done since is the part that actually stings for Ronaldo. He came back in 2026 and widened the gap instead of quietly protecting his legacy from a distance. He didn't need this tournament. He's playing it anyway, and playing it like a man with something left to prove. That's the real difference between them now. One career is finished, sealed, complete. There's nothing left to add or take away. The other is still being written in real time, mid-tournament, with new lines going in every few days. Football changed football, so did Messi. Nobody's arguing that, but the World Cup was always going to be the one place keeping score honestly. No PR, no comeback narrative, just results. And it's telling 2 completely different stories right now. One legend has already left the building, the other still got games to play. For 20 years they chased each other across every league, every final, every Ballon d'Or ceremony. In the end, only one of them kept chasing at the World Cup, and the World Cup kept saying yes.